Hi, this is the second of side one of the cassette where Daddy is telling us about his life growing up in 1998.
So let's see, what else did they do? Let me think what else we did at the grocery store.
Whatever they got, they get enough to last a month.
Lots of vegetables.
No, they grew their own. Did they can back then?
Yeah, they did a lot of that. That was their main thing in spring, make big gardens. They put it all up in jars.
Don't do that. And, I think.
Well, they have their own meat,
Yeah.
vegetables.
They bought their flour and had grits.
They
got it covered.
had plenty of syrup.
Oh yeah, cane syrup. That's right. About cane syrup. Did they grow the currant cane?
Yeah, they grew that. They had a big cane grinder.
Big cane grinder.
The mules pulled it round and around.
When did they do that?
In the wintertime, mostly.
Winter, and the mules pulled it round and round.
And then they boiled that cane juice and made syrup and pulled candy.
Pull juice, make syrup, and candy. And what kind of candy?
Pull.
Like, did y'all have a party and do it?
Yeah, homemade candy.
Did y'all have a party?
Most of the time they would have a party for the older kids after they made the candy.
And what did you do? A big hunk of it and you pull it off?
You pull it in strips and then you lay it on a table and it would kind of get hard. Then they'd cut it up.
On the table, then cut, harden and cut up. Let's see. Did they ever do, like, did the women get together and do quiltings?
The women did all the work around the house.
Did all the work.
All the cooking, washing, making the beds, sweeping the yards. They didn't have no grass then, they just kept the yard swept.
Grass. That's kind of how Granny did, right? She kept doing that, kind of.
Right.
So, no grass and sweep the yard. So what'd they sweep it with?
Old broomsticks, they gathered out in the woods, tied them to get in a round.
To just kind of keep the leaves and keep the dirt all nice and smooth like that?
They call it sweeping the yards.
Sweeping.
Did y'all sweep the yards today?
Let's see.
Then every morning, or mostly on Saturday, all the cows would gather up. There was no fence law back in them days, and the cows would gather up and mess up in the yards.
Why'd they do it on then? Why'd they do it then? The cow, just any morning the cows would come in?
Well, they'd spend a night round and close, and
they'd come to the house and spend the night?
Around the barns, and, outside, and they down the lane.
Around barns and house, and they'd mess the yards up.
And
that's why you had to sweep it.
You had to get an old wheelbarrow and a tub and go pick all them piles up.
That's why you had to clean it up. That makes sense.
They'd leave a mess.
That's why.
That's why you had
There wasn't fences back then.
No fences.
We read about that in that strawberry book.
Yep.
They had rail fences mostly around the house and keep them out of, not immediate around the house.
So what about fruit? Was there any fruit?
They had
trees?
fig trees. They had
Figs.
all kind of fruit trees.
Pecan trees.
Lots of pecan trees.
Yeah,
Walnut trees.
apple tree?
I don't know any apples.
No, apples don't grow down here.
Figs.
What else grows down here? Strawberries? Did you ever have strawberries? Watermelon.
Yeah, they had plenty of watermelon. I'm talking about way back yonder now.
Yeah, they have watermelon way back there?
Yeah.
But not strawberries.
Cantaloupe. I don't know about strawberries.
Cantaloupe was?
They had pear trees. They made a lot of preserves out of
That's
their
right.
fruit.
Pears.
Salt preserves.
No, not for fruit. They use that with the meat. We'll have to ask them about that.
How did they preserve that thing?
I'll tell you about that, the preserves. They canned it and they put lots of sugar in it along with the thing and that helped make it.
Of course, the vegetables were put up in a jar.
Yeah.
Like the butter beans, okra.
Mm.
They
good stuff.
Peeled peas and snaps.
So that's where there was freezers. You couldn't freeze your veggies. What about the smokehouse?
Well, out there, they also had an ice house.
Oh, and ice house. Tell me about that.
It was big. It was almost, it was as high as this kitchen, about half as big in diameter. And they put big blocks of ice in there to keep the fresh meats and stuff.
So where'd they get the ice? Does the Iceman come around?
Yeah. I think about once a week, Iceman would come by. The smokehouse was next door to the.
So the fresh meat was in there?
They keep all kind of meats in there. If they went hunting and caught whatever deer.
Did they go hunting a lot?
Did they have the slaughterhouse?
They went hunting. They caught all kind of game, you know. They had
Squirrels.
to keep that in the ice box.
Oh, okay.
Did they have a
What
slaughterhouse?
all they catch? Deers and squirrels?
Yeah, everything. They
And
got
quail?
mostly deer. They got a lot of quail.
Did they get duck?
I guess they did.
You know what? Brittany ate dove last week.
Yeah.
I think we told you that, didn't I? Oh, Brittany wouldn't eat it. She tasted it.
They had all kind of birds.
That's just it.
Okay. So they put
Anyway.
the fresh meats in there. What about in the smokehouse?
The smokehouse was built next to this ice house, and it was full of. They smoked all their meat there, like hams, shoulders, middlings, and
Did
all
they
that
have a
sausage,
slaughterhouse?
link sausage.
No slaughterhouse.
Brittany, they do it themselves.
Ew.
They hung them up on a pole way outside there.
Hold on. Hung up on pole. And that's where they cleaned them.
They hung them up out there. They did all their gutting and cleaning up out there.
They had to gut them and they had to let the blood drain out, right?
Yeah, cut their throat.
Blood drain out. That was for chickens and stuff too, right?
Well, the chickens, all they did there was just wring their neck and put them in a pot and boil them. Get the feathers hot, and then they pull the feathers off.
Let me write this down. Chickens wring their neck. Boil them real quick.
Stick them in hot water for a little bit, and then the feathers would come off easy.
Yeah, that's what they still do, probably.
Yeah.
Off easy. And then they cut them up. They clean them before they do that, or they wet?
Yeah, they clean them up. The women folks didn't have done that.
Yeah, they did that.
Then if they had 6, say, it'd take about 6 or 8 for Sunday dinner.
6, 8 chickens just for dinner.
6 or 8. And then they would stick them in that ice box out there until they could get to them.
Brittany, don't get in my way. And stick in ice box. Children. Okay.
They did that for it on a weekly basis on the chicken.
Weekly basis for chickens.
They carried a lot of food to the churches around there. Dinner on the ground.
Dinner on the ground. Tell me about church then. Did it go all day or was it just morning?
Well, they mostly went to this Empire Church.
Was it Baptist?
It was a Jehovah. No, it was a Primitive Baptist.
Primitive Baptist. Remember it?
Yeah, the Empire Church building.
Was he a preacher? Wasn't somebody a preacher or was he a preacher?
One of his boys was.
Okay. Yeah, was the services, how were they? Because he had to travel a little bit, right?
Well, they was over there a few miles from their home. Everybody would meet up over there in their wagons and mules, horses.
And mules and wagons.
Some of them would come with horses and buggy.
Everybody brought their lunch then?
Everybody brought a big lunch for dinner on the ground.
Oh, cool. That was every Sunday?
No, not every Sunday.
Most Sundays?
Probably once a month.
So when they went to church and they had to come back home for dinner, would they, what would it go from maybe 10 to 12?
Well, a lot of times they visited each other.
Visit each other. That way everybody wouldn't have to go home.
Yeah.
Take turns.
Yeah.
Well, I guess visit who lived around there,
Yeah,
right?
right. Whoever
Visit
invited
each
you
other.
home, I guess.
So you wouldn't have to go home.
The church would start about between 9 and 10 o'clock. All the men folks would be on one side of the pulpit,
Yeah. On one side of what?
the pulpit, and the women folks on the other side.
Where was your kids?
They was out in the audience.
Did you ever sit with a dad?
The way this church was built, this was the people that was going to sing, was on
Okay.
each side of the pulpit. Like the men folks and the
Uh-huh.
women folks,
Yeah.
they wasn't sat together.
Yeah. Did they they use music? I mean piano?
They had an old organ going there.
Oh, organ.
And the men folks and the women folks would sing, but they didn't sit together.
Okay.
They would harmonize.
And where was the kids?
And all out in the front audience.
Kids in the front. And the kids, what would happen if they didn't behave?
Well, they knew to behave, or they'd be out there getting a whipping with a cotton stalk or a limb or some kind.
Ow.
Whippings with a cotton stalk or right, the
Yeah,
cotton.
all them buggers had a cow whip on.
Or cow whip.
Ooh, a shower.
Yeah. What about babies? They just sat there.
With the babies, they sat with the mama or grandmama, whatever.
Sit with the women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because babies probably had big heads.
And then
What if they're
this primitive Baptist, they would sing, and then after a while there'd be about 3 different preachers would stand up and do their sermon.
Huh.
And after they got through, all the kids were about to sleep. Then they would sing another couple of songs, and it would be 1 or 2 o'clock by then.
Man, starving.
And then everybody would gather outside at they had a big long table made out of fence wire. And everybody put their groceries up there, and all kind of good groceries. By the time they got through, it was 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
So they didn't come back for Sunday night. They had time to go home.
They would
right?
just fellowship out there and then go home.
Yeah.
I'm going.
It was an all-day affair.
Yeah.
A lot of times it'd be dark when they got home.
What about clothes? What kind of clothes did Granddaddy wear? Great Granddaddy
There was all back then. It was all long dresses.
Even for the men?
No. Long dresses, yeah, long dresses, long dresses.